Honestly, it seems to me like it's a deepfake.
That was my first impression, was that it was a deepfake. Was the muzzle flash backwards?
Yeah. This is like a perfect magic trick shot, because you have her throw something real into like real water, then you have the CG transition to another real thing.
Wait.
Frame that.
Think he made a new one? This is different. This is a
completely new shot.
different shot.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Visual Effects Artists React. I hope it's not too cold out there for you guys. I hope you're enjoying your holidays, all nice and cozy. And thank you for tuning into this episode. We got a banger for you today.
And we have a special thing, a little bit of a divisive shot that we'd like to revisit. Today we're kicking it off with a little movie called Donald Justice.
Donald Justice!
I guess we're jumping right in. All right. All right, so I want you guys to watch. Oh, did you see it?
Wait, I saw a CG dude running in the background.
No.
They're all CG dudes. Oh, now there's some CG butterfly man.
You guys are probably looking at everything going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
Specific small thing that really stands out. A little bit of context here. I want you guys to look at the muzzle flashes and tell me if there's something wacky. Okay, wait for it. Did you see it?
Yeah? Was the muzzle flash backwards?
Yeah. The muzzle flash was backwards.
That's a weird one. That's a really strange one. That's like something you definitely don't expect.
Because there's no way it like slips by you.
Well, like I can see it happening if there's like some sort of like accidental like effect that went into place and it just got perfectly rotated 180 degrees.
Yeah, or somebody's just like, oh, I like the look of it when you flip it the other way.
In real life, sometimes that muzzle flashes can look like that, but
I mean, it's definitely backwards. If you look at more frames, you can definitely see like the stuff coming out of the muzzle, like the little shadow of the muzzle of the gun on the wrong side of the muzzle flash. It's very strange. Like, how do you fix it? You flip it the other way. Like, this isn't really like, you can't go too deep into like the technical aspects here because it's a pretty simple issue, but like, is it an Easter egg? Did somebody go like, you know, I think I can slip this in and nobody's gonna notice? And now we noticed? Like, is that what it is?
It just took a few years.
Like, I don't want to shit on it because there's nothing worth shitting on, right? It's like, look at this actual shot here. Like,
the shot is pretty sweet.
Yeah, there's like a very well executed VFX shot happening, and then there's a little flipped muzzle flash. And it's one of those beautiful mysteries, right? Like the Optimus Prime low frame rate spark in his face.
Oh my God. Oh my
It's
God.
like millions of dollars, and then like somebody's like, watch this. 180. Overall, it's just like, I feel like this movie is one of those examples of a lot of money and arguably a lot of talented and like very skilled people coming together, but like, it's like putting a puzzle piece together, but they're not quite the right puzzle pieces, so there's a little weird of a gap there, and it's like, ugh, something's missing.
So that was Mr. Donald Justice.
Donald Justice. Batman v Superman, Donald Justice. So, fun story. I was at a restaurant a few days ago, and this guy's like, hey, big fan of the channel. I'm like, oh, thanks. You in the biz? He's like, yeah, I work on this show called Foundation. I'm like, oh, really? Like, I love Foundation. He's like, yeah, I'm one of the writers.
What? Dude, Foundation is great.
Yeah.
What a great
Foundation's
show.
Amazing. So I told him I had a shot that I wanted to show you guys.
Okay.
I do. It's one single shot, and it's one of those shots where it hits, and you're like, that's a nice shot.
Are we alone?
I love, like, the rings around this water planet.
Almost hit that alien fish. Squid. Oh, this one! Right!
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
seeing this and being like,
that's sweet. It's very satisfying. I like how they have like the fragmented canoe. You can still see all the seams, and then they all just kind of like disappear.
This is like a perfect magic trick shot, because you have her throw something real into like real water, then you have the CG transition to another real thing. Like that water,
I saw the transition. I saw the transition on the water, two different water elements. Yeah, you see the splashes from the thing she throws down, and then as it turns into the canoe,
oh yeah,
linear wipe between the canoe and the spaceship canoe.
But it works really well though.
Oh,
like,
flawlessly.
I love how they have like the extra little skimmed water splash.
Yes.
They're, like timed really, really well with it.
I almost wonder if they dropped the canoe there also to get that splash. Like they have this splash, and they just drop the canoe to get that splash. And there's an in between there.
Probably, right?
I don't think that's a water. I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit of a water sim at times, but I think the actual splash from the canoe and the splash when she throws the canister, those both strike me as real splashes.
I think you're right. I think they are real splashes. So they're having to paint out the water where the CG canoe is, but they're still using those water splash elements.
Yeah, it's like when it expands, they're hitting some sort of transition, and then once it's fully expanded, you can see there's another splash that happens there, and that's the real splash from the canoe, I think. This show is like full of these kind of shots where they're visual effect shots that are truly like, here's a special shot. It's a magic trick. Versus like, here's a shot. We spent $1 million in the background on something that doesn't matter. It's like, this whole show just nails those moments. I'm so glad that this show exists and there's some sci-fi like this that's out there.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Foundation, highly recommend it.
Because Addie has to know I fought for her.
All right, have you guys seen The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
I have not seen it. This is the Nicolas Cage movie, right? Where
Yes.
he's like playing himself.
Well, he's playing Nick Cage with a K, N-I-C-K. Nicolas Cage, he spells his name with a C.
Right.
Yeah. But take a look at this. Tell me what you think.
Leave it to the professionals. Local police, whomever.
What? There's something uncanny about it, and I'm pretty sure it's the shape of his cheekbones. His face is very just like whoosh, like triangular, huge cheekbones.
It looks pretty dang good.
It's obviously a younger Nick Cage here. What movie is he from in this alternate version of him?
This version of him here is specifically from a talk show appearance in 1990 when he was promoting the movie Wild at Heart that he made with David Lynch. This represents the wild Nick Cage from like the 90s. And they took this persona, but they took his face from 1995 to 2000, which is when he was in all the blockbusters.
Honestly, it seems to me like it's a deepfake.
That was my first impression, was that it was a deepfake.
Like, especially on that one shot where he like wiggles, I almost like feel like I'm seeing through the deepfake for a moment. Look at this, see that? See that? Like you almost like see a beard appear. Do you see that? You see his beard?
Yeah. So the question then is, who is the actor underneath the deepfake? Is it Nicolas Cage?
I think it
It's
is.
100% Nicolas Cage.
You were never here to help me.
And then there's Clown Man.
Dude, clown makeup and the deep fake like this? Whew.
Yeah, clown makeup plus deepfake.
There's some compositing going on because his hair comes down in front of his face there a little bit, and you can't really just composite a deepfake on top of hair. You have to cut that hair out, and so there's probably some blending going on into the original Nicolas Cage forehead there, but also combined with some de-aging effects.
Damn, man!
In the glasses.
There's someone in his reflection. Whoa, okay.
This in the car is incredible. It looks flawless.
So this is done by Cosa VFX. They also did Old Bill from Westworld.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, like the jerky guy.
There's like
half robot. Yeah, doing a really good robot dance. And now, details are a little slim online. I feel like they're careful not to call it deepfake, but it's definitely AI assisted, which tells me that there's probably deepfake elements in it, but there's a ton of compositing work. And it's really easy to take away from all the work when you say, oh, we could use some AI tools. It's like saying, oh, we used After Effects.
Oh, your
therefore
computer
After Effects
did it
all
for
the
you.
work. Yeah. You know, something like this, you have to morph the face shape. You have to deal with a lot of lighting. Look, he's in his glasses there, that reflection in his glasses. You have all this hair masking to deal with in front of the face. You have lens flares from things outside the car going by. Like, there's a ton of work going on here that's not a deep fake thing. You know, stuff that you just have to have really talented artists, like, adding in and blending and, you know, tweaking all those elements. Like, look at the blend in the neck. You know, like the blend of the neck is perfect. Yeah, this is some of the best de-aging I've ever seen, honestly, right here. It's so emotive. Because usually when you do a deep fake, you lose a lot of expression. It's like you take the peaks and the valleys and you just bring them in, you just have a neutral face. But like Nick Cage does not have a neutral face, right? Nick Cage hits big peaks and valleys.
Yeah, you listen to me. You're Nick.
Like the teeth, the inner, like you can see the inside of his mouth really clearly. Yeah, you're probably only going to get that by actually using Nick Cage and like pulling in the bits of his face as needed. So in that one part where Sam saw the beard coming through, they're probably pulling in more of the underneath face to get like the lip wrinkles and the face distortion and the motion blur. The other added benefit of all this is that when you do a deep fake onto the same person, you're not that far off on face structure. Like sure, you have to stick the cheeks in, but the eyes are the correct distance apart, the face is the correct length.
I was actually wondering, they probably used the real eyes the entire time,
Yeah,
right?
they probably
Just
did.
shining through.
And like there, those lips, I bet you that's like actual Nick Cage's lips there, being cut out from underneath.
Yeah, it's incredible. It looks really good. I mean, well, first off, you know it's not real. So instantly, your eyes are working against your brain. But even despite that, it like holds up so well. We've looked at so many de-aging shots, like Irishman, high fidelity, great still frames, but in motion, it looks like
uncanny.
You get the uncanny effect from that. This one's really convincing.
And they're attempting to do one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing to do in all of visual effects.
Yeah, in a way, like I almost feel like this is not getting recognized enough because the Luke Skywalker de-aging is probably the only other thing that's like at this level now. And Cosa just comes out and makes this, and it's like, damn, it's really impressive. And the movie's really good. If you liked RRR and you want like just not quite as insane, you'll like this movie. If you'd like to give us a Christmas present, consider subscribing.
So, a few weeks ago, the Avatar trailer came out, and we were all like, wow! And there's a few reasons we said wow, though, because we'd heard about so much of the development behind the movie. I mean, who hasn't? We've been hearing development about it for 10 years, so it's kind of a big deal. But like, as of late, there have been so many great things been released about patents for water simulation systems, to the new camera technology, to underwater motion capture, just things that seem to be pushing visual effects beyond the limits that we are used to. So when one particular shot came up, we were all blown away.
And the whole thing was that, like, we were adamant, boldly adamant, that this shot was 100% CGI.
Let me see. I actually wasn't here for that React episode.
So Niko,
right.
take a look at this one shot and tell us whether you think this is 100% CG or if there's anything real in it.
Dude, those caustics on that whale?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, there it is.
there it is.
The smallest shot. The reason we're revisiting this is because we've heard some secondhand information that this shot possibly was done, well, partially practically, which is crazy considering everything we've seen before. This is basically 100% CG. But then the kicker, there was actually a small behind-the-scenes clip released showing some of the props from the film, and specifically a prop that matches this shot identically, which potentially brings this to the side of it being partially photoreal, which is still a preposterous notion.
Okay, I mean, like, also, I think it's important to clarify. This is a pretty classic move for VFX and Weta Workshop. They build all of these props so that you can actually get that real life craftsmanship building these things, so that you can have those small variations in all of the fine detail. And then you have the team come through and digitize everything, using it as reference and getting it to look as realistic as possible to the real thing, but then you get the flexibility of being able to put it in all the shots in the whole movie. So that's a pretty normal thing. It's not like because they made it practically, therefore proves the shot was real. No, that's not the same thing. So like, okay, then we let it go. Months went by. Then the new trailer comes out, and this shot is slightly altered.
Wait, they did it again?
Well, okay. I am 100% willing to admit I am wrong if it is actually real. But I'm not convinced yet. We don't actually have any hard evidence.
Let me see the new shot.
Just breathe. Breathe.
That's
Okay,
it.
there it is.
That's it right there.
Wait,
Frame by frame that.
He made a new one? There's a new version of that shot that's even wider angle? This is different. This is a
completely new shot.
different shot. The big thing with this shot is the striking fidelity in which the hands and the leather and all this stuff are interacting and coming in and out of the water. Something that has felt basically impossible until now.
You know what? In the court of VFX, you can't just do things on whims. You have to have some visual evidence. All right, I got some visual evidence. On the left, why I think this is real. Bubbles on the top of the water. Sure, you can do CG bubbles, but a lot of this is like, did they think of it, right? The way the bubbles distort the light around them, the way they refract the stuff underneath, I think the bubbles are an indicator that the shot is real. Secondly, the way the water washes up on that bumpy pad, there's surface tension in water that pulls it into the little cracks and crevices between those.
Yeah, there's a patent that allows them to specifically do that.
Regardless, it's a very fine detailed thing that you don't really see in water sims very often, especially with like the fine detail it needs to have for something like this. Third, the way the water droplets congeal with their surface tension on the leather, especially with like the little seam on the edge of that leather strap, the water hits that and then it congeals right on that seam, or like right before that seam, like real water does. These are very, very fine-tuned like physical interactions. And could you simulate it in CG? Sure. But at a certain point, the amount of detail across the entire image gets to be what I consider to be too much for a human being to just have that complexity in their mind to deal with, right? So if we go to the other shot now, the new shot in the new trailer, I don't see any bubbles on the surface of the water. Let's look for bubbles.
All right,
Are there
bubble
any?
hunt.
Not froth, but specifically a bubble that sits there and refracts stuff underneath. Do you see any bubbles at all?
No, I do not.
There's not a single bubble in the shot. Secondly, if you look at the water splashing onto that pad, that like straw pad again, you don't have the surface tension of the water in the seams between.
Yeah, you do. I'm looking at it right now.
It's just on top. It's just on top. It's just like liquid on
I'm
top.
looking on the strap on the right.
So looking at the strap, what I see is a wet map and like water on top. I don't see surface tension.
Dude, wet maps?
Yeah, I don't see surface tension pulling beads of water to the edges of like the sewn seams. I see wetness, I see like a shader change, but I don't see actual like water beads with surface tension gripping to the leather the way it would in real life. I see an incredible high fidelity piece of CG art right here, and I could be wrong, right? It's that good. I could totally be wrong.
Having the water tension around an actual stitch is something that I didn't even think about looking at in the original shot. And now that you're pointing it out, you're like, okay, yeah, this does give a lot more evidence to that original shot being real. I saw another hypothesis online is that they actually did film that shot for real in a tank, which is what they are claiming.
And that's as close as the shot is. It was just made for a shot that's on screen for maybe 1 or 2 seconds.
And I think that's probably true. But that doesn't actually tell us that shot in the final movie is practical or real, because they do this all the time in the marketing of movies where they'll say they filmed something practically and there are no visual effects here, and we see the actual physical thing on set and whatnot, and then when you see the VFX breakdown, you see like the little like transitions and wipes, and then
like real shot and then like delete.
yeah, so it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not unheard of for them to be like, oh yeah, we shot this practically for the movie, and for that to be a lie. I'm not saying it is a lie in this situation, I'm just saying it's not unheard of. So, assuming that original shot is filmed practically, I still think there is some hybrid CG going into it. Like, I think they probably actually added in the CG arms for it, but if the idea is that they're just dropping it in for the trailer, they probably wouldn't have put all that much effort into this one super quick shot.
I agree. I think the original one, on second viewing here, we have composited arms. There's a practical element down there. The new one, 100% CG. Fight me.
I mean, hey, if that first one was definitely real footage, then I was wrong about my stance on it.
Or not.
But we still don't know for sure.
We don't know
That's
for
the
sure.
thing. And they probably won't actually ever say anything because it's different in the final movie if it's not 2 different shots.
I think it's really worth noting that the fact that we're all arguing over this shot, it's a close-up of the hands with a strap, shows you that when we saw this shot, there's just something about the water and the way it moved that was beyond anything we've ever seen before in animation, even though it's such a mundane shot. It's triggering something in our minds, and perhaps that's an indication that that first shot was real. And just slipping it in amongst all the animations, suddenly you're like, whoa, that was really good.
Exactly, because that's the same thing that happened to us. We're like, all this like, oh yeah, this is sweet CG, and they're like, well, hey, hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not supposed to, you can't do that. It's sweet though. I can't wait to see this movie. I don't care. I'm not a big Avatar fan, but I'm excited to see the movie.
Oh, I'm super excited for the movie.
I'm excited for the movie too.
Like, online right now, this is blowing up, and the fact that like we took a hard stance saying that that original shot was not real.
Dude, that's a compliment. That's a huge
It
compliment.
is a compliment, right? We're always guessing for a lot of this stuff, especially stuff where breakdowns haven't been released yet. You know, the artists working on it are under NDA and they can't really talk about it either. And so it's like, we're always having to do a lot of guesswork here, and that's just how it is. And people will respond, well, if you're having to guesswork, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Don't watch it though.
Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Thank you for taking a moment to spend your holidays with us. Hope you're having a good one.